Hey folks, I've got an awesome show for you tonight. It is nighttime. Um, Tonight we're going to discuss about the one and only Mr. Bob Lazar, who to me is a con artist. I don't believe a word the guy says. I really don't. Now, if you stick around, I have a guest here that has done her homework and she has dug up, not dug up, but just, well, she's dug up and she knows her stuff. So if you stick around and listen to the facts, and then not be stuck, put your head in your butt, really listen and understand. um that'd mean a lot. If you do not want to listen, you want to believe that this guy worked for the government, Area 51. If you believe that and you want to stick to that, great. But if you stick around, I guarantee you will change your mind. Okay. So I have my wonderful guest here who I saw on a podcast, and her breaking down all of what uh, through the years of the horse shit that Bob has done. And she is going to explain to you why he is a con artist. Now, mind you, I've known since 1989 he's a con artist. Okay. So she's going to explain. Mellanie, please tell everybody what you do. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mellanie.
Hi, I'm Mellanie from Military Veterans Paranormal. I've been a paranormal researcher, investigator, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a ghost hunter since 2000. One of the things that my team does is we're not debunkers. We're not ghost hunters. We actually go out and we do research and investigation of all things paranormal. Now, we're known for our documentation and our research. We look for hard copies. We don't take word of mouth. We're basically no holds barred, but we're also no bullshit. So we're respected by skeptics and enthusiasts as well. If we can't find it, we'll acknowledge it. We don't approach anything, and I especially, when I do my research, I don't approach it from a biased standpoint. I look at it as, I don't know. What do I find? And that's how I approach this whole Bob Lazar thing. Because someone was telling me about him. I remember the stories and his claims and watching the George Knapp interview and everything else. If you look into UFOs, there's no way that you're not going to know who he is. But with the Netflix documentary, it really piqued my interest, because when I first saw it, I thought, holy crap, this guy's got this. And why aren't people believing this a little bit more? So I was like, well, wait a minute, where's he getting this from? Who is this guy, first of all? And I don't want to take what Jeremy Corbell was saying, who is the writer, producer, director of that. I need to know for myself. So that's where it really started, into doing the research into Bob Lazar and his claims. I'm not going to say that, it's fact, because that's what's, a lot of people are so ride or die that they're not putting all of these little pieces together to see an overall picture. When you put all of these little pieces together, without omitting the facts like the documentary did, then you're like, this guy don't make no sense. This is not true. And that's when I start getting pissed off. It's like, you fucking lied. Are you kidding me?
Well, I knew he was lying since 1989. Like I told you, like I don't believe anything the guy says. And when you say they omitted it, like I remember it was on Netflix, then they took it off. And last night, it's funny. Last night I watched. I had to turn it off. It was like, hey, I'll tell you right now, I believe that there is life out there. I think you'd be a fool not to believe that out in the universe there is life. Okay.
Yeah.
Now has put it this way. He says, what is it? 9 spaceships have crash landed on Earth, and we are deconstructing,
Reverse engineering them.
reverse engineering the ships. Okay, so you got 3 aliens each ship. That's what's 9 times 3? 27.
27.
So you got 27 aliens. Don't you think they'd come looking for their buddies? Like,
Well,
or they're, like if they like, remember Star Trek when they said, don't screw around with, we don't leave, a phaser. We can't leave it with a primitive culture, because God knows what they would do with a phaser. So we have to be very careful. But yet, Bob Lazar, he's worked on 9, and oh yeah, and a couple of those aliens, they've worked with other people. They've helped other scientists figure out how to how this shit works. And I find it makes me vomit when I think
with
of
that alone. Okay, so yeah, he says there's 9 alien spaceships. I want people to stop and think logically here. Okay, a spacecraft is exceptionally large. All right, so if you have 9 of them, then to house them, to ensure that they're not cross-contaminating them, to make sure that the staff and as well as the technology to reverse engineer, tear it apart, test it, hold it alone, that's a lot of space. That's a lot of hangar space. And you wouldn't, I mean, just imagine 9 planes, okay, together. That's a lot of room that you need. It would have been more plausible to believe if he said 2 or 3, but no. We went big and said 9. But aerial photos of there's just no way. Aerial photos of that area don't show that.
But here's the thing about Area 51 that drives me crazy about people, like when they talk about it. Okay, it's a secret military base. Now, I've been to Trenton military base. No civilian, they will shoot you dead if you go on military space. There's no ways about it. It's a military installment. You cannot go on there. So when people say, "Hey, man, there's secret trucks," and at light, and if you get too close, these trucks will come, these vehicles will come down, and they'll stare at you or whatever. No kidding. Okay, it's a military base that
it's an installation.
They don't want you there. Okay, and when you see lights in the, when he's like, remember, the lights and the triangles and all that shit. No kidding. They're testing stuff out.
Yeah.
Years ago, I remember either it was 2020 or some show where they made the mistake of following somebody, because there was a 747 that would pick up the workers, and then they would follow this worker to their house to see what they were, and try and ask them, "Hey, what's going on? Do you guys got aliens there?" And they had to black out the person's face, had to black out everything. You couldn't talk to that person, because you know why? They work at a military base that they work on stuff that they
classified.
classified stuff. They don't want to sit there and tell you, "Hey, we're working on something that will blow the shit out of the Russians or whatever. We're working on stuff that is classified for a reason." Okay, so when he's sitting there saying, "Look at these crazy lights," or it's like, no kidding. They're doing testing, you idiot.
So I think with Lazar, pardon me, ladies and gentlemen, I had to get situated. I'm vertically challenged, so I literally sit on like 2-3 pillows so I can feel a little bit taller than I actually am. But when we're looking at Bob Lazar, the best thing to do for anybody out there, whether you are ride or die for him or you're questioning him, is to start at the beginning. And that's what I always do with anything that I've been asked to look into or to research. So let's go to his very, very beginning.
Okay.
and his claims of education. And I know this was a big deal in the documentary. And a lot of people say, well, the government erased it. They erased all of his
Yes.
documentation.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So then what I did was I listened to so many of the interviews that he gave, even the Joe Rogan show, but also the ones from his initially what he claimed. And when he was going under the cover of Dennis and everything else, I've listened to everything Bob Lazar has said. When we're going back, and then you also have to look at public record. So this is why I'm not necessarily buying the whole claim that the government erased his records, because when we were all in school back then, because you and I, we're older, and as with Lazar, so when we were all in school around that time, it wasn't digital. There were hard copies and there's records, and they're saying, okay, well, that was pulled. Okay, so Bob Lazar actually graduated, if we're gonna go here. So he graduated, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
So Bob Lazar graduated from W. Tresper Clark High School, and he graduated in August of 1976. That tells me he didn't graduate with his class. He graduated after. He graduated in the fall, meaning he didn't probably have enough credits to graduate on time. He may have had to do summer school or complete the units in the fall. That was actually verified. And there's a yearbook. Hello, that has his photo in there. He didn't even deny it. His class standing was 261 out of 369. So that puts him in the bottom third of his class.
That's pretty much where I would be. Yeah, go on.
So that's point one. So let's keep that in the back of our minds. He then claimed he did this big symposium in Rachel, Nevada. And he claimed to have attended Pierce College. Okay, there was record of that. Then that was in 1976. He had professors that did remember him taking some classes there. But then he said that he went to Cal State Northridge sometime in 1977 or 1978, but he said it was just for a short time for some classes. Cal State Northridge is only about 45 minutes from where I live. And it is a state university. You don't go to state universities just to take a few classes. It's not a junior college. It's not a community college. This is a university in which you have to apply and get accepted. If you're just taking 3 classes there, a few, or even 4, you're not going to graduate. You don't get a degree from that. And in none of his interviews in the very beginning did he ever say what he got his undergraduate degree in. And I found that very weird. Where did you get your undergraduate degree? What was your undergraduate degree? Because it's very pertinent to your master's. I have bachelor's degrees. I also have master's. So I kind of know how this process went. And being 47 years old, it wasn't too different from when he went to college back then. So then the big T is the yearbook for Caltech, because he stated that he went to Caltech. Okay, you're not going to get into Caltech if, remember his high school, you didn't graduate on time. You're not going to get into Caltech in the bottom third of your class because you do have to have your transcripts. You're not going to get into Caltech if you don't have a bachelor's degree. That's just knowledge. Well, the yearbook there is called the Big T. There is no record of him at all in these published yearbooks from 1977 or 1978. Then he said that he got his master's degree from MIT, which he said was probably around 1982. Well, I can tell you the exact years I got my master's degrees. And the reason why is it is at minimum 2 years. Now, he said he did a thesis at MIT. When you do a thesis, which I had to do as well, you have a board, a committee, where you have to defend this thesis, and you have your thesis advisor. So you're working very closely with this thesis advisor to tell you, because you have to first give a proposal for it. And if it's accepted, then you have to take all of these classes for one, and then do your thesis, and then defend. So first you'll do your written exam, and then the oral exam, and then the defense of the thesis. He couldn't remember not one professor, which I also found very weird. How do you not remember your thesis advisor?
I remember my first grade teacher.
Yeah, I remember my kindergarten teacher, Miss Clocksterkamp.
Yeah, she
loved to sing Puff the Magic Dragon on an acoustic guitar. So I found that very weird.
It's stuff like that. Like, let's stop for 1 sec. Little things like that. How the hell do you not remember your teacher's name? How do you not? Come on. Okay, so that's strike one.
Yeah. So in Rachel, Nevada, in 1993, he was asked the question, what are your degrees? What's your education? Do you have a master's degree? And he was asked for the year of graduation from MIT and if he got a PhD. And he replied, quote, "No, it was a master's degree. The year, what was the year of graduation? Probably 82, because I think I left there and went to Los Alamos." So not only are there absolutely no records from the universities or him, this is what people are missing. He's not able to produce one document from Cal State Northridge, from MIT, or from Caltech that he was ever there. Not one paper, not one grade, not the name of one professor, not a graduate committee advisor, not even a friend of anybody that was there. There is no one who's been able to come forward to corroborate that he took classes with them except at Pierce College. So I found that to be really sketch. So then when you're looking and listening to some of what other people have asked him, can you give us a name of a professor? He stated that, well, yeah, I had a professor Hosefield at, I believe, MIT or Caltech, one of those. Well, there is never any faculty with that name. The only faculty that I've been able to find that had that actual name went to his high school, was a teacher at his high school that he took a class with. And that's not a typical name, Hosefield, Hohsfield. It's not like a Smith or even a Washington or a Johnson. This is a really specific name.
Right.
And it just so happened to be the name of a high school teacher from his high school. That's strike number 2 for me. Then he said that, in another one, that he had a professor, was it Bixby or something, Duxler, a William Duxler, that was his physics professor. Well, at Caltech or MIT. Well, no, William Duxler was a math and physics professor at Pierce College, the junior college he went to, who confirmed that Lazar actually took a class or 2 from him. So let's put all this education together in a nice, pretty box. What does this tell us? He graduated the bottom third of his high school class, not on time. No records of graduation. He does not have any transcripts. He can't remember the years that he graduated. And yet he's claiming, oh no, I was there. Where are your diplomas? I have all of my diplomas on the wall. That's not something you lose or misplace. Not even back in 1989. See, if he would have graduated in 1982, how would he misplace something that significant? How would you not remember
Right.
so close together?
But yes, but remember how he said that he went to MIT, and MIT, like the people that work at MIT, the teachers, anybody that
Mhm.
was there, they're like, we don't know who this guy is.
Right.
So unless like Men in Black showed up and
But
got
there's
them all,
problems with that too.
look at the pen, guys, look at it, like give me
Yeah.
a break.
Because it's what he claimed. He said, for example, that he got his master's in electronics technology at Caltech. There has never been that master's degree, an MS in that,
So that's never
ever
been
offered.
that's never been
That's
offered.
never been no, that's never been a degree that you can get in. In fact, you wouldn't even call it electronic technology. That doesn't make sense. You know, anybody who's in electronics engineering or anything else like that, they know why would you get a degree in that? At MIT, he claimed to have written a thesis on something like magnetohydronic hydro something or other. Okay. It's really complicated. I'm not sciencey, so I don't really give a shit for exactly
No,
what it
no,
was.
no, but
Um,
you're breaking it
see, I'm
down.
not Lazaring it, you know,
Yeah.
but that's also not offered. But when we're putting this in this big box, he claimed to be a physicist. You're not a physicist with just a Master of Science. You have to have a PhD. It is a totally different degree, and it takes years. It's at least a 5-year program, because then you have to do a dissertation to get your doctorate degree.
What's that mean? I'm not
A dissertation is basically a short book.
oh
So
wow.
my master's thesis is about 100 pages. That's small. When you're doing a doctorate dissertation, you know, you're looking at something this big. There's, especially in what the field that he's claiming in, you're doing a lot of experiments. You're with a team. You're with specific professors and, again, advisors for the entire 5 years. It's a residency program. The same thing with a master's. Okay. It wasn't like it is now. Keep in mind, people are thinking about it. Well, you could have done it online. No, bro, not back then. We didn't have the internet,
Yeah.
and we didn't have correspondence courses like that. Then he later said he does have a degree from Pacifica University. That's where his undergraduate degree came from. And people are saying, well, we couldn't find a Pacifica University. There was a Pacifica University here in California. It got shut down because it was just a diploma mill, meaning, you send stuff through the mail and they'll give you a degree. They got fined, they got shut down.
Oh, so they're not around anymore?
They haven't been around for years because they were giving fake diplomas.
Damn it, because I want to be a doctor.
But I know, right? Don't we all? So all of these little facets would tell you he's not a physicist. This is really, really, really important for people to keep in the back of their mind, because I'm in the military. I was in the military. I'm retired out. So when we join, or even the DoD civilians that have to work on our installations in certain areas, you have to get certain clearances to work at what he claimed was S4 at Area 51, where he said he had to have the top Q clearance, secret clearance. All of these little things in his background with his education would come into play in terms of whether or not he would be granted this Q clearance. And if you've got a diploma mill undergraduate degree and you are claiming that you are a physicist, but you don't have any records yourself to submit for verification, you're not going to get this Q clearance.